would you do if you were stranded in a foreign country, worked as a radio announcer, and then be put in jail for something you didn't do?
What does this have to do with anything? We're supposed to be talking about major contributions to media.
That was the life lived by Tokyo Rose.
Who?
Tokyo Rose? Probably the most tragic name given to a woman that just wanted to visit her aunt in Japan. Known for her military secret-inducing radio broadcasts, she became World War II's most scandalous propagandist. This is Victoria, Ghezal, Vyllana, George, and Evan, and you're listening to Media History.
Born on the 4th of July of 1916 in the state of California, was a Japanese-American named Eva Toguri.
She went through school like any average American child and graduated from UCLA in 1940. After graduating, her parents shipped her off to Japan to take care of her sick aunt, where she lived with her and her cousins for 2 years before moving to a boarding house. With the wartime rumors floating around, people wondered why she would betray her country. A year later, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
Desperate for a job, she applied to Dome News Agency as a typist. This is where she learned her mom passed away. On the plus side, she made a friend called Felipe D'Aquino, a Portuguese-Japanese man who she later married.
In 1943, Toguri landed a job at Radio Tokyo, which was where things get interesting. She met Australian Major Charles Cousins, who was stranded in Japan because war troubles. Before becoming a major, Cousins worked as a radio announcer, and was now producing the broadcast The 0 Hour. He wanted a female to voice his broadcast, and felt Toguri was the perfect fit. Although reluctant, she joined the broadcasting lineup in 1943, calling herself Orphan Anne.
1945, World War II finally ended. This is when the Tokyo Rose rumors came up, an English-speaking female broadcaster in Japan who taunted American soldiers in the Pacific.
So, who is Tokyo Rose? She is described as a real-life femme fatale. The kicker here is that nobody had ever seen Tokyo Rose because she never existed at all. She is a phenomenon derived from the imagination of American military service personnel. The name Tokyo Rose came from newspapers and broadcasts that claimed a Japanese woman was giving away American military secrets.
But her broadcast would include statements such as,
This is Orphan Anne, reminding you GIs to always be good.
Greetings, everybody. How are my victims this evening?
This is your favorite playmate, Orphan Anne, on Radio Tokyo, the little sunbeam whose throat you'd like to cut, ready again for vicious assault on your morale.
Wow, her greetings to her listeners were so fierce. It takes guts to say things like that.
Reporters were so enraptured, they went to find her. The problem they ran into was they couldn't find anyone named Tokyo Rose, although there were several women who worked at Radio Tokyo.
Bad news for Toguri though, because a Radio Tokyo employee, Kenkichi Yoki, reported saying that Toguri was Tokyo Rose. Of course, like any other person, Iva Toguri said it wasn't her. Then, reporters Clark Lee of International News Service and Harry Brundage of Cosmopolitan magazine promised to give her $2,000 if she said she was Tokyo Rose in their interview. Toguri agreed, because who wouldn't? It sounded too good to be true.
That's because it was. They bribed her into the agreement only to later accuse her of treason, where she was thrown in prison for a year. U.S. Army officials arrested her in October of 1945, but halfway through the year, they realized she never betrayed the government by spilling any military secrets. After being released from prison, she was arrested again in 1949 and sentenced to 10 years and fined $10,000.
She had such a hard life. All she wanted to do was visit her sick aunt in Japan. After prison, she lived with her immediate family in Chicago until she died in 2006.
She didn't even die an American citizen. They stripped her citizenship when she came out of jail.
It's important to remember that this story is her contribution to media as it fascinated the lives of young female broadcasters. Being female in the media industry was not as popular as it is today, so her acts of bravery contributed to inspiring people around the world.
She was fearless too. As an announcer, she had to harm the morale of Allied soldiers with propaganda. What Japanese officials didn't realize was how she broadcasted her messages. She used double meanings which subverted the original message. Plus, she was a successful non-white radio broadcaster, which was so courageous since the US was full of racism in those days.
Even with the entire world against her, Eva Toguri still remains to be a powerful force to be reckoned with. She's an inspiration to broadcasters everywhere.
On that note, until next time, this has been Evan, Ghezal, Vyllana, George, and Victoria on Media History, signing off.